Welcome to Start Before You're Ready, the podcast that proves that you don't need to wait for the perfect moment to begin your journey towards better health and happiness. I'm your host, Kelly Young. Remember, the first step is often the hardest, but it's always worth taking. I'm back with another episode of Start Before You're Ready, and this is a continuation from the last episode. So if you haven't yet listened to episode number 90, you might want to go back and listen to it. It will kind of take you up to where we are now. One thing that I forgot to mention in episode number 90 about my career at American Family, I'm kind of talking about the fitness industry, what I've seen, where I think it's going, where we are now. One thing that I did not mention about American Family is that my manager, I won't say his name, I doubt he still follows me, but he was stealing from the company. And my family owns a business in upstate New York. We have for over 100 years, and I treat every business like it's my own. And I felt a responsibility to the owner of the company to tell him that the manager was stealing. Basically, long story, there's no way around it. There's different ways you can look at it, but in my eyes, it was stealing. In his eyes, it was stealing. And so he was terminated. And then, in a strange turn of events, they wanted me to take his job, but we were moving to Northern Virginia. My husband, Andrew, had taken a job. He worked for Capital One, and he was going to continue to work for Capital One in a new role in Northern Virginia. And I was waiting out my time until I had my third son, Cameron, because I was pregnant when Andrew started working up in Northern Virginia, and I just didn't want to move in the middle of my pregnancy. I was really hell-bound on having Cameron in Richmond, where I knew my doctors and where I had my other two sons. And then we were to move basically when he was a month old. So we're now in Northern Virginia, and I have three little boys under the age of 3 or 3 and under. And I am going to be a stay-at-home mom for the first time in my life. And I'm actually really excited about this. This is a role that I value greatly and I had always wanted, and it made so much sense. We were in a new city with 3 young children. Andrew would be working even more than he was in Richmond because he would have a longer commute. We worked like 2 miles from Capital One in Richmond, and now he would be at that time on the road for about an hour. So we just really couldn't manage me going and finding a job with the 3 little boys. So I went to work at a gym, just teaching classes. I shouldn't say just teaching classes, but it's a very part-time job, and I can bring the kids, which was always the greatest thing about teaching classes. Is if you were at a gym that had a childcare center, then you could bring your kids along. And my kids, actually, some kids hate the gym, but my kids always liked it because there were other kids there and it was something to do. And we'd get food after, we'd make a whole little event of it. When my kids were little, I had to do something. We'd have to get out of the house. They were not good stay-at-home kids, and they didn't do preschool super early like some of the kids. I think we were home. We were home, all of us. And that would have been a long day home with all of us. So the gym was kind of like our little play group. And I taught at Worldgate, and eventually I taught at Lifetime. So those were kind of the 2 big ones. And then Olympus. I think Olympus was later in the timeline, but it was really a great outlet for me. I got to meet some of the other instructors and some of the other staff at those gyms. I got friends people that came to my class became friends, and it was perfect. I was really in a good place with just teaching fitness classes. I would actually teach on Saturday morning, and that was when I did not have to take any kids with me. I don't even think the childcare center was open. And I just remember driving down 28 with like the music blasting. It was like home with the kids all week. And it was like my one day to just leave the house by myself. And that was just the absolute greatest feeling in the world. And I would teach my class. I'd be home by like 9:15, 9:30, and we'd get on with our day. I guess that was kind of a common theme. I liked teaching, and I saw changes in group fitness that I really liked. Group fitness was becoming more athletic, in my opinion. I was seeing less of the dance style training, which is great if you're a dancer, but I wasn't. And I was seeing more really real fitness in the group fitness studio. I was seeing heavier weights. I was seeing programming that was designed like less, I hate the word sculpting and toning to this day, those two words. I use them sometimes on my social media because people like those words, but I don't like those words. Sculpting and toning are two words that I have just grown like a little bit of like, I want to do strength training. I don't want to sculpt and tone. So we were moving away from that in the group fitness space as far as I was concerned. And I really valued that. And it definitely it spoke more to me and my own brand as an instructor and what I believed in and what I wanted my classes to look and feel like. So it was great. I was having a great experience teaching group fitness. And then I had the good fortune to run a fundraiser, and that's how boot camp started. So I want to just kind of move forward with kind of the fitness industry, what I've seen basically like in the last 20 years, as far as being a fitness professional and as far as being a business owner, because I think that it's great. I think the fitness industry has really evolved, and, you'll hear things now saying like that, boutique fitness studio owners are really struggling and that it's not the same market as it was before. And the group training space is different. And it's true. It's true. And I think that it's coming back to being where it needs to be, which is more diversified. So one of the things that I think happened in the boutique fitness space is it became too specialized. Like you'd go to a Pilates studio, you'd go to a yoga studio, you'd go to a Orange Theory, which is going to be like treadmills and rowers. And it was like these small gyms did one or two things. And I don't think that that's really going to work long. I think that's great. Like if you're looking for something different, join an Orange Theory, you'll get great results. And I also see Orange Theory evolving. I see them doing more strength training. I see them doing more programming for older adults. So I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm really not. But I do think that is one thing that will be the demise of us, is if we believe that people should only do one modality. That doesn't mean you can't just offer one modality. I think that's fine. But if you're going to be a gym that is exclusive in your pricing and you only offer one thing, I think that could get people into trouble, because I think they need to do more than just one particular format with fitness. So I started off as a boot camp. So being an outdoor boot camp, I was unique in that a lot of boot camps are like no music, you're doing push-ups, you're doing like, it would be like what I just did last night with my outdoor adventure run. Like we're doing step-ups on a bench, we're doing tricep dips, we're doing push-ups, I'm, yelling commands and karaoke and yelling and no music. And that's fun. I love a good boot camp. That's fun. But what my boot camp did when I first started my Saturday boot camp program was I kind of blended the group fitness world of moving together to music, having music, using the music as a cadence, and a boot camp style workout, like where we're outside and we're doing stations and we're doing circuits and we're doing different things. But I think people really valued that, because there's so much power to what the group fitness industry has done with music and getting people to move together. I think that's where a lot of the community comes from, and using the music kind of as a cadence. It's a great way to program. It's a great way to train. But then also, like when you're outside and you're in your inside, but what I noticed, what I feel like even still, is that when people are outside, they can talk a little bit more. Like it's sometimes hard to hear in the studio, or it's like, it's disruptive to talk. But like if you're outside and you run into the next station, you could talk to the person next to you. It is definitely a community builder. And just the idea of like being out there, whatever the weather is, right? Whether it's 70 degrees and sunny, or it's dark and rainy, or it's that kind of bonds you. It's like, oh, we're all hot, or oh, we're all cold, or whatever it is, or we're all out here in a parking lot, whatever it is, that kind of bonds you. So the outdoor style boot camp was definitely all the rage when I started. And I wasn't trying to be part of a trend. I just offered a class outside and I liked the way it felt. And it was at a time when park boot camps, there was a lot of, they weren't franchises back then, but they were like a turnkey model where you could buy a territory from a boot camp and they would teach you how to get members and teach you how to grow your boot camp community. I didn't do any of that. I just was a one-man show at the time and was just running group group fitness, basically, in my opinion, I was running group fitness outside. I was running group fitness classes similar to what I had done in the past outside. And I initially was a Saturday only program. And the Saturday part was really important because I feel like people were doing other things. Like if people were really into fitness, they're not going to just work out with me once a week. But for some people, they were trying to get back into fitness. They had a fitness journey before they had kids or before life got crazy or before their job got crazy. And they were trying to get back in. And this one day commitment, which is what my Saturday boot camp was, seemed doable. That's what I heard a lot. Like, I feel like this is something I can do. And one thing I've learned about behavior, about getting people to change their behavior, is they want to believe that they can do it. That is really, really important. So it needs to feel doable. And a Saturday boot camp for the population of people that I was targeting at the time was doable. And my rule was if you're in town and if you're healthy, you will be at Saturday boot camp. Otherwise, you need to let me know. So I put that accountability layer in, and people would text me, people would email me, and they stuck to it. And I will tell you, people didn't miss. I'll tell you that. They paid it was very low cost, but they paid their program fee for the session. And if they were in town and they were healthy, they were going to be there. And that was a huge part of our culture. A huge part of our culture was Saturday boot camper. If I'm in town and I'm healthy and a kid doesn't need me, that I can't be replaced by another person to serve that kid, then I will be there. So that was really how we evolved. That's our foundation. And some of my students are still with me from those days. Eventually, so I was teaching, I still kept my other teaching jobs because I could bring my kids, and I wasn't looking really it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I need to make money, I need to do this business. I just liked doing the Saturday boot camp. So I was still teaching Olympus and Lifetime, and I got the call that Olympus was closing, and kind of the writing was a little bit on the wall. There were some shady things happening in the gym. We weren't getting paid, or I guess we were getting paid, but we didn't get our paycheck. So anyway, the gym closed in the middle of the night, and all the people that were at Olympus were just kind of out of luck. And they didn't get reimbursed. They didn't get anything. So I said, I'm just going to take the classes that I teach at Olympus. At the time I had taught, I think 3 classes at Olympus a week, and I will teach them outside. So one of the classes was what I call like a cardio chisel class. And again, this is a great example of the blend of the group fitness and athletic style movement. So it was basically 3 layers to this class. One, like you do a strength exercise. So one exercise would be specifically strength. Then you would do an exercise that would incorporate some type of balance or unilateral or something that's going to make you offset in some way. And then your third layer would be power. So it was strength, balance, power. Very simple format. 3s. I'm always about 3s. I've always been about 3s. I feel like you need to do things 3 times in order to really master it. And we would do, in that case, 3 exercises 3 times, a lot of repetition, big muscle groups for the most part, very metabolic. I've always been a big proponent of metabolic fitness, and I do believe that you can get stronger even though you're putting a power move into where your heart rate's getting up, programming it in. I just really loved that program for my weight loss clients, for my clients that were trying to get stronger, for my athletes. It just worked. It was just a great workout. So that was one of the classes that I brought to the outside. And of course, a lot of my students they couldn't jump or they couldn't do like a certain power move, but we all found substitutes. The idea was just to increase the intensity. So we found great substitutes. And then I had a class that I really believed in, which was called Muscle Confusion. And the idea of that class was a pure strength class. It was like, let's hit the muscles from as many different angles as we can in, at the time, 1-hour strength session. So it really was a comprehensive full body workout where you were working all of the muscles in your body, but you were doing it in such a way that you could superset, because you'd give one area a little bit of a break and go to another area or go to another muscle group and completely. There's like a million. It's basically like one of those things where you just have like 10 things to do, but you can put them in so many different orders and you can there's a million different formats. Like to this day, I don't think I've ever done the same format twice. I really like to mix it up and I really like to make it so people feel the workout. That's like the one day where I say, like, when we're doing that particular class, when I was teaching that particular class, I was like, this is the day that you're going to need to recover. Like your muscles are going to feel this. You're going to be sore tomorrow. And this is like a big training day for you. There was cardio days too, but this was a big training day for you. And then eventually we added a Thursday morning. We had a morning class that was kind of like our adventure run that we do now as a specialty class. I don't even remember the name of it. It wasn't called adventure workout, but we would typically hit the streets and we'd do hills. We would do various drills throughout the community, but it was a small group, very small group. And then Friday was bonus class. It was called bonus class because my husband was like, I can't. There's 2 days where he was going in late to work. And he's like, sometimes I can do it, but I can't always do it. So it was called the bonus class. And that's what Run Club was. Run Club is, because we still do it to this day, but it's no longer bonus class. It's 4 minutes of running. So we're outside for this class and then 3 minutes of strength training. And we do that 6 times through. And then we do some core work in the end. So the outdoor training program was pretty comprehensive. I felt like if you did Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, it worked. If you did, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, whatever, it worked together as a program. We didn't really encourage people to work out every day, but I guess I had a class most days if people wanted to do that. And then the issue was that some people were not okay working out in the winter outside. It just wasn't, they just couldn't motivate themselves to do it, or they didn't like the way it felt, or they just felt like the pavement was too much on their joints. There was lots of reasons that I started to hear, like, hey, would you ever consider opening a studio? And because of my background and where I thought my strengths were, I didn't really think I should open a studio because I was like, my best thing has always been programming and delivering fitness, not necessarily managing people. Even though I had managed people before, I really felt like my strength was in doing fitness programming. So I was really, really hesitant to open a fitness studio. So I had to think kind of backwards. I had to think about, well, what am I good at? What do I think I can do? And kind of set the expectation from the studio that I was going to open with. And at the time, I had a lot of superstar students. So I was good at developing athletes, and those athletes were potentially great instructors. So that's kind of where the idea of building a team came from. It wasn't like hiring people that I was going to manage. It was taking people that were superstars, already a part of our program, already identifying themselves as leaders in the community, stepping up. The biggest thing that I recognized in people when I felt like they should be somebody that's part of our team, well, one is they're very proficient. They don't have to be good at fitness, but like it's not awkward for them to perform exercises. They're just naturally able to move well and do basic movement patterns. I think that's important. I do think that, you don't have to be able to do them all, but you do have to have good form, good body mechanics, good body alignment. Those are things that I personally don't think I could tolerate not having in one of my instructors, unless there was a reason, unless they were great, but there was something that prohibited them from doing whatever. That would be a different issue. But in general, I looked for people that loved fitness and had good energy around fitness. That was the main thing. And that's when we realized, okay, we think we can do this. And we decided to open Energy. And when Energy opened, for those of you that are familiar with the area that we live in, there was nothing. There was a CrossFit. There was the closest gym was probably Lifetime, and there was a CrossFit in South Riding. And as far as I know, that was it. Now, there might have been like people running some fitness out of their house or something like that. So there was really no competition. And that was huge because I had already created a name for myself, Kelly's Boot Camp. And I felt like people were going to want to come to an indoor training studio if we had one. But very quickly, like wall energy was going up. Things started popping up. TFE came. And then I think the next thing to come was the Orange Theory or the Burn, then the Rec Center, then TFE came first. So then we had a lot of competition. But you know what was great about the competition? I'm not saying that the competition hasn't affected our business, because of course it has. I mean, now there's choices. But I didn't feel like I was directly competing with any of those brands. I did not feel like I did what they did or they did what I did. I felt like it was very, very different. I think the closest to what we do would be like a Burn boot camp. But what I think is our differentiator from what they do, and if you just want like to go and do a boot camp style workout every single time, then that's a great place for you. But if you're looking for diversity, if you're like, I need some mobility, I need some low impact, I'd like to do a yoga class, I'd like to, I like the music, I like moving to music, I want to go outside sometimes. Nobody else was doing that, like nobody. So it was really, we were really in a great position, or we still are, in a great position where we were offering something unique, even though it wasn't something that was like super specific. And there was an era of time where I think people were looking for something really specific. That was kind of like what's your signature workout? We still had our signature. In my mind, our signature was more like circuits and boot camps. And that was and then the other things were specialty. It's really amazing to see how the industry has really evolved. And now big box gyms. So big box gyms were really kind of losing the battle to boutiques. And before you couldn't compete with the big box gym, right? Because they offer everything. They have childcare, they have amenities, they're expensive, but like a place like American Family or like Lifetime, if you use all of the things that they offer, even if you're paying $250 a month, $300 a month, you're getting a great value if you're getting childcare and you're getting, some of the amenities that they offer. But what I think people around here really wanted was they just wanted to get their workout in. They didn't need all that. They just wanted to get their workout in, and they wanted the community. I'm not saying they didn't want the community, but they didn't necessarily need all of those other things. And then what the big box gyms tried to do is, as the competition with so many boutique fitness studios and smaller training studios opening up, the big box tried to create the boutique fitness studio feel within the big box gym, which is so interesting when you think about it. Like the small gyms are trying to be bigger and the big gyms are trying to be smaller. And I think everyone just needed to stay in their lane and do what they did best. And now I think that with recovery becoming so prominent and people wanting more diversity and they're wanting cross-training and they're not wanting to do one modality. I mean, I've heard it a million times. People say, I'm sick of blah. I'm sick of blah. This worked for me, or I liked this for a while, but now I'm sick of it. So they want something different. And that's great if you are a participant and you just want to sit around like, I'm going to do this for a couple of years, I'm going to do this for a couple of years. I think it's great, but I really think you need to be doing more than one thing at once. I don't think you should put all your eggs into Pilates and then put all your eggs into running. And then I really like a comprehensive training model where you're doing different modalities in your week in your training program. I think that is really where the magic happens. And one thing as a fitness business owner that I have learned, this is probably part of the journey, is collaborating. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't collaborate with other local gym owners. Well, there's this girl, Kathy, who owned Pink Fit. I was friends with her. But I'm not like, I don't think there's a lot of owner operators like myself in my area. And I am kind of competitive, so I wouldn't say I really collaborate, but I collaborate with people that do similar things to me in the country, like throughout the country, because I'm part of a mastermind, and I'm part of that mastermind because I want to be lit up and excited about what I do. And sometimes as a fitness business owner, as an owner operator, having a brick and mortar, just all the hats that we wear, it's easy to get burnt out. And I needed people to be like, yeah, Kelly, it's hard. This is hard. This is happening to me right now too. Or here's an idea. If you're struggling to get new members, or you're struggling to keep your members, or here's something we did, here's software we used, here's a tracking device we use. So I love the idea of collaborating, and there's a program that my members loved and that you guys should try it. I love the idea of collaborating with other fitness businesses, but I don't do it with my local fitness businesses. And maybe I should. If you have any suggestions for me, let me know. I know the gym, Pump 24, opened up right next door to us. We're very different. I don't know if we could do something together. I would not be completely opposed to it. But the idea is that my goal for my fitness community is I want to be a place where you can not just do HIIT training, not just do strength training, not just do circuit training if you want. But if you're here for strength, I've got enough strength on my schedule. So really what I wanted to say is my journey in the fitness world has been incredible. I love the fitness industry. I'm absolutely in the right industry. I love learning about different modalities. I love learning about different business models. What we're hearing now is that a lot of these models that are scalable are not doing well because they're not, the people that are working in them it's not their baby. It's not their passion. So there's a little bit of a difference. They're managing or they're running it, but it's not like something that they're lit up about, like a mom and pop studio owner would be. So I feel like that's good news for us. But in general, I'm not rooting against the industry. I'm rooting for everybody. I want everyone, no matter where you live, to have an amazing place to go work out. Or if you're one of those people that loves to work out from home, to have lots of options. Something that I really value is affordability. I don't think fitness should be something that's only for the rich people. I think that everybody should be able to budget in their fitness as long as, they're in a situation where they've got some extra money, that fitness should be something that they can afford. I don't like the idea of fitness being exclusive, and people will argue that and say, like, if it's something they really want, they'll find a way to afford it. I'm like, that's actually not true. Like, if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. $300 a month. Sometimes it's a couple people in the house working out. That adds up really quickly. And if your budget's tight, those are the first things that are going to go. And that was one of my things in my fitness business. I didn't want price to be a reason why people stopped going. I wanted it to be, I don't want people to stop going, period. But if they stop going, I want it to be their own choice and not something that they were forced into. Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoyed hearing my personal experience in the fitness world, where I am now. And I'll just tell you a little bit about where I want to go. I am just as lit up about the fitness aspect of health as I am about the big picture. And this is kind of full circle for me. Like, I know the things that I think are really important that really move your health are still the nutrition, the sleep, the accountability with things like your tracking your water, tracking whatever it is that that's going to move your health in the right direction. For like some of our students, we love the MyZone because that keeps us accountable to moving our body, no matter what kind of workout it is. I love all that. The InBody, tracking your body composition, keep being mindful of not losing your muscle as we age. Those are all things I value. I will continue to value. And I'm also interested in hearing from you. If you listen to this podcast all the way through, what are your thoughts? Where do you think the fitness industry is going? Should I be doing something different? Should we be doing something different? Do you guys want us to, I'm not going to do it necessarily just because you say, but is there something you're like, hey, you're really missing out on this? Because that is the cool thing. I'll say this, and I'll say this all day. That is the cool thing about being an independent. You can really listen to your members, and we have done that all along, from opening a brick and mortar to having a lot more low impact options on our schedule schedule to doubling the amount of strength that we offer, to having a wider diversity of instructors, to having more time slots, making sure we have classes after 6:30 so people that work can get to the studio at night, having those early classes. We listen to our members because we love our members and we would not exist without our members. The other thing that we didn't really talk about that obviously has been a great addition to our program, and it's actually something I'm trying to grow right now, I've mentioned that a few times on the podcast before, is our virtual training. Sadly, a lot of our members are moving on. They're retiring and they're moving to their next chapter. And I don't want to lose them. I love them. And I love that they are going to continue to do, maybe they're going to do a hybrid, maybe they're going to join a gym or something where they are, but they want to continue to do some of our classes. And our Zoom is so affordable that they can do that. So that's another thing that I'm really proud of. I think the hybrid model is really helpful for people not only that don't live as close to the studio, but for people that are a little bit maybe more time crunched, where they have time to do the workout, but they don't have time to get to the workout and drive back and all that. So the future of fitness is very bright. We're not going anywhere. We are here to serve. I've never been so lit up about what I do and why we do it. My team is bigger and stronger than ever. They are incredible. And I love when I see people get really excited. And, shout out to Colleen, Ted, Dawn, and Lori. Absolutely insane what they're doing as new instructors. I just get really blown away by how much they love what they do and how much, and I have had Lori and Ted on. I got to get Dawn and Colleen on. I think I asked them, but maybe it was when they first started. So it's time to ask them again. So tell them, hey, if you see them, say, Kelly says you should be on the podcast. Okay, guys, thanks so much for listening. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Start Before You're Ready. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend who might need a little motivation. Ready to start your own journey? Check out our workouts and nutrition coaching programs at kellysbootcamp.net. You can choose from in-person sessions or virtual programs. Set up a complimentary coaching session to get started. Follow along with me and the show on social media at Kellys_bootcamp. Until next time, this is Kelly Young reminding you that the best time to start is always now.